Hi, I'm Jody Lane with Accelerated Medical Practices, and we host a monthly mastermind just for hormone clinic owners and providers. And it's designed to help you solve the real world challenges you face in your clinic every day. Each session starts with a short teaching topic, just like the one you're about to watch, led by the AMP team. Then we dive into live problem solving with the group. And whether you share, contribute, or just listen, you're going to walk away with something useful to improve or streamline your practice. It's low cost, it's no commitment, and you get the replay if you miss it. And because I really want you to check it out, I'm going to give you your first month absolutely free. Just email me at Jody, Jody, at acceleratedmedicalpractices.com with the word mastermind, and I'll send you the invite. You've got nothing to lose and a whole community to gain.
All right. Okay, everybody, this is how we're going to kick off each one of these mastermind calls. A quick 15-minute lesson. Sometimes it might not necessarily be a lesson, maybe just some gentle reminders of some good practices. So the topic is rotating. We've published these on our website. If you want to look at those ahead of time, more than welcome to. Today, I'm going to be talking about hiring, training, and retaining staff. So I think staffing is one of the most frustrating parts of operating a business. Having a good team surrounding you can either make or break your business. It's something that everybody's going to have to deal with as you grow. Part of those growing pains is making that first hire, and then it's making that first provider hire. And then once you find the people, making sure that you're doing things to keep them happy and keep them fulfilled in their positions at your practice, at least as long as possible, right? Some positions you're going to naturally outgrow, but making sure we're paying attention to our staff is just as important as paying attention to our patients and making sure that they are getting their results. We want to make sure our staff are getting results in their lives, making sure that they feel at home, making sure that they are feeling fulfilled, and that they're doing a really great job. So as we're going to be taking a look at is how do we find that right person for the right job in our practice and in our clinics. My presentation, some of the two objectives I have is one, to identify ways to empower employees and provide fulfillment, and two, just providing some ideas to help with the hiring and onboarding process. So let's start with hiring. There's a lot of different places that you can hire from. And I just put in here my philosophy, what I'm thinking as I'm going through looking for some of these positions. Really basic, when I'm looking to hire an hourly employee, I am going to be using Indeed or ZipRecruiter. These are two big aggregate websites. You're going to get thousands of people on this website, hundreds of eyeballs on your ad, and hopefully many dozens of applications. We're in a pretty good spot right now, at least what I've seen compared to what it has been in the past. So you get plenty of applications from these platforms. As we start getting into a little bit more of a professional level, I'll start branching out. So I'll still utilize Indeed and ZipRecruiter, but as I'm looking for like my sales or upper management positions, I'm going to start looking through LinkedIn as well. Once you get into those professional level career paths, you're going to find that people are more active on LinkedIn. Not necessarily everybody, but it's just another avenue. If you're trying to hire a front desk, LinkedIn's probably not the best place. They probably aren't building up that profile or not using it primarily to find positions yet, at least. So I reserve that for either my sales position or, like you said, upper management. And then if I'm looking for a provider, I could be doing Indeed or ZipRecruiter, LinkedIn as well, still very helpful. But for providers, I like to really utilize the niche groups. We lean on WorldLink. So we've hired from WorldLink Medical before. We use their job posting boards, but those boards that are specialized for the population that you want to target, don't forget about those. Don't think that you have to be stuck in Indeed or ZipRecruiter whenever you are able to find those niche job boards. I really like using those. You're going to get less applications, but they're going to be more qualified. So that's just one thing you want to keep in mind. When you don't see a dozen applications every single day on there, that's okay, because the few that you do get are more likely to be a productive conversation when you actually get a hold of those people. So those are just the platforms that I like to use when I am searching for candidates. Now, when we're going through the process of hiring, I want to take a look at the actual job posting. I see a lot of different job posts. Some of them are really short with no information, and then some of them are really long with a lot of information that don't necessarily need to be there. A couple of things that I want to keep in mind is one, I want to be descriptive and include what the full scope of the role is. So I want to make sure that they have a strong understanding. Of course, there'll be more once you speak with them, but a strong understanding of what the job is and what their expectations would be. Once I finish writing the job ad, I go back and I read it. And I don't mean like proofreading it. I'll go back a day later and read it as if I am searching for a job. And I ask myself, would I actually apply to this? You want it to be engaging. So, what better person than to use yourself? Just read it and ask yourself, does this sound attractive to me? Do I like what I hear in here? And if so, you're on the right track. The other thing that I like to do is once I write my job ad, I'll go to ChatGPT or any of those other AI tools and I copy and paste it in there. And I just get feedback from there. Sometimes I might not be as clear as I think I am. That's what I really like to use those tools for. Rather than generating the entire job ad, I give it something to work with and then I use it to tweak. I found that you probably have seen this as well, popping up all over the place. ChatGPT is writing a lot of stuff these days and it's getting easier to pick it out. So just to make sure that you are standing out from the crowd a little bit, write it and then put it in Chat GPT. Or you can start Chat GPT and then heavily edit it with your own personality. But just don't let the Chat GPT do all the work. You still have to do some of the work there. Just keep that in mind. And then if you're just totally stumped on where to start, just look for some examples. Go be that applicant that you're trying to find and search for jobs and see what job postings are out there, kind of what some of the language is, what are some of those buzzwords that are being used right now, and incorporate that into your job ad. Nothing wrong with stealing a little creativity from somebody else, right? We are looking all over, trying to find our person. When it comes to actually interviewing, this is the number one thing I am looking for. I want to hire on values. I actually was doing an interview today, and the woman I was interviewing is a provider at a clinic just around the corner from us. And I'm familiar with the clinic. I know they do good medicine, and she's been there for quite a while. So, right off the bat, I know that this woman is definitely qualified. It's a very similar practice to us. And so, I'm still going to ask her qualifications, and I still went through all of those. But I knew I could breeze through that quickly, and I really dove into her values. What is she expecting to be like her work ethic? How many patients is she expecting to be? How does she live her life? What is her health consciousness? Is she somebody who lives wellness? We're a wellness clinic. And so I want to make sure that her values are aligning with ours. We also have like core values. So I go through our core values and really dig into what is integrity is one of ours. It's one of my favorite. So really digging into what does integrity mean to you? How do you show up with integrity in your current position? What happens when you don't show up with integrity? Really drilling into these values with these potential hires so that you can understand their character and not necessarily just their skill set. Because you can always teach skills, but you can't teach character. I like to say hire on passion. So similar to values, but somebody who's just really passionate, that will come through in their work that they're doing. Passion, again, is something that you cannot teach. And then my last one, hire on referrals. I love referrals, right? It's you're interviewing, you're meeting somebody, you're going out on a date, you're meeting this person for the first time, you're trying to learn all about them. And no matter how good you do your interview or how well you are at interviewing, it's always possible that somebody is able to put on that mask and get through the interview process with flying colors. And then you bring them on board and they are just not what they said they were. When you're hiring from referrals, you're going to reduce that risk. So anytime you have a referral from another employee or staff member, I move them to the top of the list. I really enjoy those. We've never had a referral not work out because generally, if somebody who's working in your office, you hired on your values, they're going to refer somebody based on those values as well. So those are my kind of three things that I'm really looking for when I'm identifying those people I want to bring back for those interviews. So once you bring them on board and you've made your selection, we want to do a couple things. We really want to make sure that we are onboarding effectively. So it starts off with creating an onboarding checklist. We want to be thorough and complete when we're bringing people on, and we also want to be consistent. So we want the onboarding process to look the same for employee A as it does for employee B. At least generally, there might be some role differences, but the true onboarding process to bring somebody onto your staff should be about the same. So just list out what kind of HR tasks do you need to do, setting up their payroll, getting their IDs and licenses and W-2, all of the HR tasks, right? List out every single one of those that you need to do. Then we like to review company policies with our new hires. Obviously, hours, what is your dress code, some of the base expectations that we have for all of our members, going through all of that. We want to review what our patient flow is, our workflow, our office flow. So, what is the day going to look like? Kind of the nuances. The now is we're going to start training them as well. So we want to let them know what are our services, what do they look like, what are we treating patients for, and going in and giving some background. On top of my mind right now, just because I'm doing these interviews for a provider, my providers, this happens very early on. What are our services? But when you're bringing on somebody in a like a front desk role, MA role, or sales role, you might not necessarily go in depth to a lot of the services during the interview process. So as you're onboarding, it's a great opportunity to introduce these services and get the training in so that they have an understanding of all of the services that you're doing along with the office systems, right? We want to set time aside to make sure that we're teaching them our EMR and any other systems or softwares that you're using. Your Keep, if you're using Keep for your CRM, make sure that we're walking through all of that with our new hires. And then this one I think is super important. Going back to the passion, you want to share your company's history and your why. So if you want to find somebody that has passion, then you should be willing to share your passion so that you can align on that. So sharing how you started your clinic, how you started your company, and where you were and where you are today, how you got there, and why it makes your heart tick, that's really impactful and empowering to provide to new hires. So just make sure that you're doing that. And then on their first day, make it extraordinary. So make sure that their desk is set up, they have the supplies they need, their monitor, their computer, their phone, pens, pencils, any of that stuff. If you have like any marketing material, we have a tumbler bottle thing that we give to new patients. We also give it to new hires, t-shirts. We have logo t-shirts. You want to start off on the right foot. The workplace is where you spend huge chunks of your time. And if I were to ask all of you, where do you feel most comfortable? I would venture to guess the answers would be somewhere in my home. Work is our second home, and we want our staff to be comfortable so that they know that they're safe in their place and that they can provide the best care to our patients. So make that happen from day one. Make them feel like they're coming into home. This is just my example of what our onboarding looks like. So we do a 5-day orientation with our staff when they're coming in. And so we break it down into kind of three like didactic days. So we go through our PowerPoint, and our first day is all about our practice. We go pretty high level. It's what are we doing? What are our services? Who works here? What's our org chart? What does our marketing look like? What do our patients look like? What are our patient demographics? We really go through our whole company. That's also where we go through our company policies and setting some baseline expectations for all staff. And day two, I believe it's really important to do some education. A lot of practices bring in staff and they teach them how to do their job, and that's it. And when you just teach somebody how to do their job, think that you're not going to get their full potential. They're not going to shine. And so by taking a day and we do just some really basic teaching on hormones, this is the crux of our business. The people that we're bringing in need to understand what are hormones? What are we doing? What are we practicing? Why are we giving these things to our patients? So just spending time to go through what is testosterone, what is estrogen, what is progesterone, all these things really helps cement their knowledge and really helps get the ball rolling so that they can feel comfortable with the information that they're learning. And then we just get into their role and we start practicing their roles. And then we wrap things up with shadowing all of the roles. So we want to make sure that they see every single piece of the puzzle put together. And then all of this is also put on paper and presented. This is a very old plan of mine. But when we bring somebody on, we create a schedule. What is their initial month going to look like? And then hand that over so that they know what their schedule is and where they're going to be and what they're working on. Okay. Now that they're back in, we just want to make sure that we're continue educating and training our staff. Number one, you want to invest your time. You're one of the strongest resources. You're very knowledgeable, so dedicate that to your team. You can do this through lunch and learns, really effective. Have everybody bring in their lunch and you just teach a topic. Megan does this. She brings her team to conferences. That's a cool little perk for people. They're going to learn a lot and it's a bonding opportunity. And like I said, allow them to shadow every single role in the office and especially with patients and the provider so they can see how that interaction is. And then reward those who are shining. If somebody's really eager, reward them. Are you compensating enough? This is pretty basic, but we do want to make sure that we're comparing markets, that we are paying. If you want average, pay the average. If you want above average, you're gonna have to pay for it. Do a little bit of research, know what they can get elsewhere, and know what you can offer. You don't necessarily have to think in just money. It could be additional benefits. So don't think just dollar, but total compensation package. And then this one, of course, just communicating clear expectations. You want to train well early, correct quickly, and commit to regular check-ins. When things are not working out, don't let it drag on. Very important. And then here, just when somebody wants to be fulfilled in their position, they need to be recognized and appreciated. So say thank you with meaning. And I have a great example of this in my next slide. But doing fun things, happy hours, celebrating birthdays. Everybody loves bonuses, of course. Going out, you could go to, we've done escape rooms, things like that, but just fun activity. Creating opportunities. So share the company goals. You want to bring everybody in with the success of the company. So share that. Elevate from within. So if you have an opening, look to hire or promote before you go outside. But this is just my example here of really doing shout outs. This is Erin. She's one of our providers, and she's really great about this. Just very specific thank yous and shout outs to staff when they go above and beyond. Just be specific with these, and it goes a long way. And then this is my favorite thing. Treat your staff for free. Your staff are your most important piece of the puzzle. And so you want them to be hormonally balanced, you want them to be feeling good, and you don't want them sick. So help them not get sick. Treat them for free or at least low cost. Have them just cover the costs, but do it so that it's accessible so that they understand what you're doing and they can get the benefits from it. Now, just in time as my voice is running out. Thank you very much.